Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai. Kali Yuga Dharma Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Welcome. Welcome to another session of Spiritual Television, as we were calling it a day ago or so, where we will cover the glories and pastimes of our beautiful gods and goddesses, our glorious celestial beings, and our dearmost friend, who always seems to make an appearance in these pastimes, no matter what's happening. So welcome. Good to see you all. Good to have you all with us, with me. And I say us because it is known that wherever these glorious pastimes are recited and heard, in those places, the gods and the goddesses, they somehow appear. They make themselves present just so that they can hear these beautiful pastimes and take part as well. So thank you for being with us. We make ourselves available as a sangha, as a collective. We make ourselves available for the presence of such divine beings, and so that we can be inspired within our hearts by such divine personalities. without further ado, we are going to draw our minds and our hearts to that divine realm beyond this material creation, a realm where all of the celestial beings are so eager to go and see the pastimes of the Lord of Sweetness, Madhava. And in order to do that, we are going to sing the beautiful short and sweet bhajan, Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Brajujana Ranjana Jamunatiravana Chari Jashodanandana Brajujana Ranjana Jamunatiravana Chari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jannavalabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe Govinda Shri Radha Govinda Deva Ki Jai Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. So it is day 5 of Navaratri. It is a divine Panchami day. And on this day, we are honoring the goddess SkandaMata. And in honoring the great goddess, we wear the color royal blue, which can look like very many different shades, especially dealing with a virtual Sangha, dealing with a virtual telecast, where colors can change or look different in the light, but it is royal blue. So if you have been wearing royal blue, I hope that this color has inspired you to remember this goddess full of compassion. She is seated on a lion. She has 4 arms, and in 2 of those hands, she holds lotuses. In her left hand, she's holding her child, and her right hand is always engaged in giving blessings, in the mudra of giving blessings and benedictions. So she was always compassionate, always trying to give hope and bestow loving benedictions on those who worship her, it is said, without duplicity in the heart. We've been taking this time and these days of Navaratri to discover the many forms of the great goddess who appears in so many ways to somehow act on the order of our divine Lord Govinda Dev. It is described that she knows his mind better than anyone. As his internal potency, she knows exactly what he needs, when he needs it, and how to serve him in the best way. And then we spoke yesterday about how she gives such credit to others. Embodying the mood of a Vaishnavi, she gives such credit to others. Never greedy for that claim to fame for herself. She just yearns to work in the highest good, knowing the mind of Govindaji, knowing what he wants, what he needs, and what is necessary for his unlimited pastimes in an unlimited variety of ways. So we've been able to gain a glimpse into this goddess who is Yogamaya, this goddess who expands herself as Mahamaya, this goddess who expands herself as Subhadra Devi. And many devotees have questioned, how can she be Mahamaya, Yogamaya, Subhadra Devi, so many different forms? How is this possible? And I read once, Govinda Maharaj gave such a succinct, sweet answer. She is, as the internal potency of Sri Krishna, she is whatever Krishna needs her to be, whenever Krishna needs her to be that, wherever Krishna needs her to be. She expands, and she is his energy. So, I thought that was such a clever and sweet answer of how one personality could be and do so much in so many different realms. She is whatever, whenever, wherever he needs her. So she is such a beautiful divine personality who can bestow us with devotion, who can bless our hearts, who can give us protection, who can give us shelter, and who is one of the divine protectors of all of the holy dhams, those holy places of pilgrimage, which are not just within this earthly realm, but exist spiritually, not just as tangible places, but also places within the heart. They exist as states of being. It is often said that Vrindavan is within the heart, within the mind, wherever the pastimes of Krishna manifest, wherever true devotion to the Lord manifests, that becomes Vrindavan Dham, because there he places his feet. So we heard that not only is Vasudev a person, but also a state of being, also a place. That place, that state where one is fully conscious of Krishna in all of his wonderful glory. There Vasudev resides, and there that place is also called Vasudev. It is a state of being. So Vrindavan is not just a physical, tangible place. Even though it is present upon this earth, it is also within the heart, within the mind, impressed on the soul, so that we can reside there. Even if there is a global pandemic and we cannot fly, or we cannot find a way to make it there physically, spiritually, we can be there. And in some ways, that is considered to be even more important. As we heard yesterday, sometimes physically you can make your way to the holy dham. However, if our hearts are filled with crookedness, hypocrisy, duplicity, envy, jealousy, lust, anger, so many unfavorable emotions, if our hearts are filled with all of those things, we will not gain that divine entrance into the spiritual abode. We might be able to see it outwardly, but we will not be able to gain entrance into that ecstatic realm where the pastimes are of our Supreme Lord. However, if our hearts are filled with devotion, love, an attitude of gratitude and service, if our hearts are filled with that eagerness to be of service, to be of use in the greatest way, then even if we are situated in New York, on the East Coast, on the West Coast, whichever hemisphere, Western, Eastern, whichever way, wherever we are situated, somehow we will find that just like that, we are in the divine realm, no matter where our bodies are situated. It is said that for one who is spiritually empowered, all mystic potencies are available to them, one of which is the ability to travel anywhere at will. So we can see how just by empowering ourselves with the Maha Mantra, this great Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we saw yesterday that Kushmanda Devi empowers her Japamala with all of her powers of siddhis. All of those mystic potencies reside within that Japamala. If we, by chanting with love and devotion and affection, seek to empower our beads, we seek to gain the empowerment of our Tulsi beads, our Japamala, by chanting this divine mantra, we will somehow soon find out that we will be empowered to be able to travel anywhere at will, just through the process of reciting pastimes. Suddenly we're there, no matter where our physical body is present. Our hearts and our minds, our souls will be there. So SkandaMata is always engaged in blessing the devotees who worship her without duplicity within the heart, without hypocrisy, sincerely, with a simple heart, with a simple nature. That is all that's required. Belief, conviction, faith. So she holds her child in her arm. She is engaged in giving blessings. She has 2 lotuses, which often give an idea of serenity, an idea of grace, an idea of mercy, an idea of kindness. Although she rides on a lion, she is so approachable. She looks like the divine mom who can do it all. She's endowed with many arms so that she can do it all. She is the embodiment of femininity, able to multitask. And it is said that she rules over the throat chakra. This throat chakra, which is also expressed with a bluish color, deals with self-expression and creativity. And I find it very interesting that SkandaMata has so much to do with that throat chakra, healing, creating protection for that throat chakra, because we see that there is so much of a heavy energy around self-identity, self-expression, and what is the real self? How do we identify? There is so much heavy energy looking at everyone in possession of a body and what is really going on beneath that body. The body is not the end-all be-all. We see it everywhere we look. We see that it is causing turmoil within the heart. Sometimes it is causing turmoil for the soul, that identification with the body and all that goes along with it. Whether it is identifying with a certain race, whether it is identifying with a certain geographical area, whether it is identifying with this is my enemy and this is my friend, as Prahlad Maharaj teaches. Whether it is identifying with a certain gender, with a certain creed. Once we start identifying with these designations, it creates such a turmoil for the self. Because what is the self really? We are souls. Souls vibrating at a much higher frequency. Souls in possession of bodies that are able to, like vehicles, get us from one place to another, that are able to somehow work for us, bodies that we are able to use, but we are in essence souls, forever linked, forever part and parcel of a greater supreme personality. Whether you have chosen to pray to this supreme personality in a divinely feminine form or a divinely masculine form does not seem to matter. It's about really connecting with our true selves as servants, as those who can be used in the highest, greatest good of that supreme personality. So, I find that it's so beneficial that she rules over this throat chakra, which has so much to do with expression, so much to do with the creativity that lives within all of us. That creative potency, which makes sense because she is a mom. A mom where such creation arises from. So we can pray for strength, for courage, for protection and shelter, for compassion and kindness on this journey of self-realization. As we realize who we are and who others are, realizing that at heart, that person that we speak to is another soul, another spark of our divine supreme person, a friend of our supreme person. And therefore, no one is really our enemy. Therefore, no one really is higher or lower. Therefore, no one is really against us. Sometimes, in the course of carrying out karma, in the course of this great lila that we call life, we see so many different obstacles and circumstances that pit people against each other. But at our core, our true nature, we are souls forever linked to our supreme person. It is an everyday mantra. It is an everyday thing. It is an everyday necessity that we have to tell ourselves this truth. For so long we've been identifying with, this is my body. And therefore, these are my friends, these are my enemies, these are the people who are for me, these are the people who are against me. So every single day, sometimes many, many times a day, we are going to have to remember that I am a spirit soul, forever in connection with my supreme person. I want to work in the divine service of that supreme person. O Mata, help me, guide me, shelter and protect me. So it is going to be an everyday practice. That's why I love that Krishna consciousness is called a spiritual practice. Some days we get it better than others. At least I can only speak for myself. Some days I feel like I get it better than others. Some days I feel like I struggle. Some days I feel like, oof, this is a hard practice. It's an uphill battle. But every day, there's sweetness to be had on the path. So this is SkandaMata, our glorious mother, who, although seated upon a lion, which might seem ferocious, she is quite approachable, always ready to help. She has so many lending hands that she can offer. She sits with her child in her lap, and so it is said that if one worships her, one also worships her child. Skanda, one with 6 faces, which we will get into shortly. She is able to bestow compassion and kindness. She is able to benedict those worshippers with so many boons and blessings, unparalleled wealth, spiritual wealth. But she usually only gives those things to those who have full devotion in their hearts. So those who worship her without desiring so much material wealth and benefit, she gives all that she has to offer. Those who have spiritual goals at heart, she gives everything. So we can pray with hearts filled with devotion that she can lead us on this path of bhakti, this path of love. She's always on our side. And as a little sister, I know what it means to be able to speak up on behalf of those who might not be able to catch the ear of an older brother. Sometimes we have a way of expressing things where our older brothers will look at us generously. So as the younger sister of our Supreme Person, we can often pray, if you speak about me to my Supreme Lord Govinda, he's sure to listen to you. He's sure to grant your desires. So maybe if I am able to please you, then he'll be pleased with me. The younger sister is often treated like one's own child. So if we can please her, then surely our Supreme Most Lord Sri Krishna will be supremely pleased. He'll be so happy and so ready to usher us closer to him. So with that said, we'll speak about SkandaMata, and we will speak about her divine child, how he came to be, how it was that at 7 days old, he killed a great demon, and the heroic battle that took place because of it. It is sure to be very exciting, and there is a lot to cover. So I hope that you fasten your seatbelts and are ready to go on a mystical, magical ride to the divine realm where gods and goddesses roam and where devotion is always present. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll be reading from Skanda Purana and adaptations from the Skanda Purana, things that I've tried to weave together to make a beautiful narrative for all of you. With the arrival of Mahadev's consort, the snowy mountains and deep caves of Kailash began to look more like the abode of Cupid. The scent of love carried across every breeze, and there seemed to be a perpetual spring manifest to welcome the new queen. The followers of Lord Shiva adored their goddess, but none was more besotted with Parvati Devi than Mahadev himself. Lost in one another, Parvati and Mahadev remained oblivious to outside affairs. After what seemed like a lifetime of separation, Shakti had taken a new form, and Lord Shiva, who had seemingly meditated upon his loss for hundreds of celestial years, had finally reaped the fruits of his arduous penance. Every moment with his goddess was a festival for the heart. His feelings of joy transferred to every one of his followers until it spread out from Mount Kailash like an ethereal fragrance of bliss. While everyone on Mount Kailash experienced feelings of ultimate happiness, outside their realm of cosmic romance, the demon Tarkasur wreaked havoc throughout the universe. He caused distress to the gods and pushed them to the limits of their tolerance again and again. It had been foretold by Lord Brahma that he could only be killed by the son of Lord Shiva, a child merely 7 days old. For eons, Lord Shiva had been completely uninterested in material, marital affairs, dedicating himself wholly and solely to meditation. But now that he had found his eternal consort once again, surely there was hope for the gods now. With Lord Brahma and Lord Vishnu at their forefront, they journeyed to the peaks of Mount Kailash to petition Lord Shiva for his help. Much time had passed since the marriage of Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi, and they remarked on the beautiful change that they saw in Mount Kailash. But when would the divine couple produce a son that would destroy this troublesome demon? The followers of Lord Shiva, the Shiva Ganas, who stood watch outside the abode of their master and mistress, refused to allow anyone entrance to the inner chambers of Kailash. With no other recourse, the Devas stood at the gateway and loudly cried for their savior. Hearing their pitiful cries, Lord Shiva carefully extricated himself from the goddess's embrace and went to see who was calling for his aid. Although the gods had told Lord Shiva about this terrible demon before, he had been so consumed with grief that he could think of nothing else. Now, hearing their plight as if for the first time, he closed his eyes, overcome by compassion for the Devas who were so desperate for his help. In that moment, an expansion of his very essence fell to the earth. Parvati, angered by the disruption of her own personal heaven, by the overly impatient gods, came to the conference of the Devas filled with rage. You gods only care for your own interests. You care nothing for the thoughts and needs of others. You have made me barren by your interruption. I curse you all. Let your own wives become barren. The goddess turned her face away from the gods in disgust, but was calmed by the gentle look in Mahadev's eyes. Burning white-hot with the unbearable power of Lord Shiva, Bhumi Devi, goddess of the earth, begged Agni, the god of fire, to somehow relieve her of the burden of carrying the essence of Lord Shiva. Agni obliged, but soon found that the power of Lord Shiva was even too hot for fire to handle. He deposited that essence within the Himalayas, amidst the snow and ice, in hopes that it would cool the expansion of Mahadev. From the Himalayas to the Ganga, that energy was finally deposited on the banks of the Ganga amongst reeds and grass. There it stayed until a child began to form. One day, the great sage Vishwamitra came upon the child who was happily living amongst the reeds. Naming the child Guha, the mysterious one, the sage performed all the ceremonies for the newborn. It is said that on the first day that he saw the child was no more than a lump of flesh. On the second day, the child had form. On the third day, he became an infant. And on the fourth, he began to mature. Agni came to that spot and recognized the effulgent child as that spark of Lord Shiva he had carried long ago, and he affectionately named him as his son, Skanda, noting his 6 faces. Being proud of this youth, Agni embraced him and gave him his own Shakti weapon. This weapon is his famous veil, or spear that he is usually shown with. With a roar that shook the universe and incredible strength, Skanda took the Shakti weapon and began to show his prowess by crushing many Himalayan mountains into powder. 6 wives of the great Saptarishis, known as the Kritikas, were enchanted by the boy and were desperate to have him as their child. They began to argue over who could be the mother of the child, but Skanda offered them a benevolent smile. With his 6 faces, the child began to accept each of the women as his mother, delighting their hearts and filling them with maternal joy. Because they were virtually his mothers, they named the baby Kartikeya, the son of the Kritikas. On Mount Kailash, Parvati felt a stirring within her heart. With her anger now dissipated, she remembered that brilliant essence of Mahadev's that had dropped to the earth. She begged her Lord to find out what had happened to it, knowing in her heart that no part of Lord Mahadev could ever be destroyed, and feeling somehow that this part of him would complete the yearning within her heart. Assembling all the gods together, Lord Shiva inquired from them, and the entire story was recounted to him about how that wonderful, brilliant essence was carried from place to place and was finally residing with the Kritikas in their own abode as a boy child who was brighter than the sun. Parvati's heart expanded with joy, and she was radiant with the thought of a son of her very own. With her eyes large and filled with tears of love, she begged Mahadev to bring their son back home to Kailash. Unable to deny his queen anything, he sent his Ganas to bring back his son. When the Kritikas saw the horrible-looking goblin followers of Lord Shiva, they were terrified at heart. But Kartikeya, even though a small boy, consoled them and told them not to fear. Nandi, the commander of all the followers of Lord Shiva, stood before the boy, his hands clasped together, and his head bowed with great respect. "My lord," Nandi's voice was sure, strong, and respectful. "On behalf of Mahadev and Mahadevi, we beseech you to return to your true home on Mount Kailash. Originally, you were the son of Lord Shiva and Parvati. Your parents eagerly await your return, and your mother yearns deep within her heart to hold you affectionately upon her lap. All of us are waiting just to serve you." Nandi motioned to all the followers, who nodded happily behind him. When Kartikeya strode into the assembly on Mount Kailash, it looked like a flash of lightning had just descended upon the mountain. Parvati's joy knew no bounds, and she rushed to embrace the child. Clutching him to her chest, she seated him on her lap, feeling as though she never wanted to let him go. Lord Shiva marveled at how the beauty of his goddess had increased with her beloved child resting on her lap. They were like two suns, illuminating the entirety of his mountain abode. All assembled began to shower them with love and affection, hailing Parvati as SkandaMata Devi. Parvati beamed, bestowing everyone in attendance with the blessing of her gentle smile. She hugged the child close to her heart as the many gods assembled, sang song after song, and they composed many in honor of the new addition to the celestial family. Gazing upon everyone with a heroic and compassionate smile, Kartikeya was installed as the princely commander-in-chief of the celestial army of the gods. Feeling pleased with the gods and with himself, Kartikeya inclined his head and encouraged the gods to ask for a benediction. With relief radiating off of them in waves, the demigods asked at once that Skanda, the six-faced one, kill the demon Tarkasura. Mounting his peacock carrier, Kartikeya departed along with his army, vowing to kill the demon that very day. Lord Shiva and Parvati closely followed their son riding on a chariot. That wonderful chariot had been made by Lord Shiva himself. 1,000 lions were yoked to the chariot, and Lord Brahma held the reins. Kuvera rode upon the Pushpak Viman, and Indra was seated upon Airavata. Yamaraj, in the company of Mrityu, death, was surrounded by hundreds of fearful ailments, sicknesses, plagues, and pandemics. When he came to Tarka's city, Skanda praised its beauty. Indra then requested that, as it is customary, a messenger be sent to inform Tarka of Kartikeya's arrival. Kartikeya dispatched Narada Muni as his own messenger, and Narada was pleased to give his message. Narada went to the palace, which was inhabited by thousands of women, and relayed the message of Indra and Skanda. "You have committed countless sins while tormenting the inhabitants of the universe," he spoke to Tarkasur. Those sinful reactions will be destroyed by me today, by your death. Come out of your city and fight, otherwise I shall cast it into the sea." Narada said, upon hearing the insulting words, Tarkasura, who was surrounded by many women, became infuriated. Indeed, he clenched his fists and he rushed at the messenger. I was terrified, and so I quickly ran away and reported everything to Skanda, who was also referred to as Kumar, the great prince, and Murugan, the great youth. Tarka then considered within his mind, without having some support, Indra would not dare speak like this to me. I see omens that produce fear in me. Tarka went to the top of his palace of 1,000 stories and surveyed the army of the demigods. He wondered, they were soundly already defeated by me. Why have they come again? Then in the distance, Tarka could hear the bards glorifying Kartikeya, referring to him as a 7-day-old boy. When he heard this, Tarka remembered how Lord Brahma had predicted that he would be killed by a 7-day-old child. Becoming overwhelmed by fear, Tarka summoned his ministers headed by Kalanemi. We have heard this name, Kalanemi, before. Tarka chastised them for not informing him of the activities of his enemies, but in reply, Kalanemi ensured Tarkasura of their impending victory. The army of the demons was then hastily assembled as the infuriated demigods proceeded to destroy the outskirts of the city. Thereafter, the army of the demons with Kalanemi at the front rushed at the demigods, and the universe became plunged into darkness. In the fighting that ensued, Kalanemi suddenly jumped onto Airavata's head, kicked him with great force, and gave Indra a blow with his fist, so that both fell to the ground. Kalanemi then picked up the unconscious Indra, put him on his chariot, and proceeded toward Tarkasur's city. Lord Shiva, after killing numerous demons, approached Kalanemi and said, "Of what use is this Indra? Fight with me, and then you will learn what heroism is." So this is Lord Shiva's plan to save Lord Indra. Kalanemi replied, "Who will fight with a naked man? Even if he were to be killed, when this feat would be recited in the assembly of Daityas, it would solicit derisive laughter." Upon hearing these words of contempt, Lord Shiva was stunned for a moment. At that time, Skanda arrived on his peacock, along with Lord Vishnu. After requesting Skanda to step aside, Lord Hari, who was seated upon Garuda, began showering arrows from his saranga bow. Kalanemi put down Indra and concentrated on counteracting Lord Hari's onslaught of arrows. Shri Hari ki jai. As Kalanemi playfully counteracted his arrows, Lord Vishnu picked up his Komodaki club and hurled it. That club smashed Kalanemi's driver, and so the demon jumped down from his chariot. After opening his mouth wide, Kalanemi seized Garuda by the beak and put both he and Lord Vishnu into his gaping mouth. Upon seeing this, the demigods fainted, and the earth trembled. What will happen to our hero? Then, as Kalanemi danced in ecstasy, Lord Vishnu utilized his chakra to cut open the stomach of Kalanemi. While coming out of the demon's body, Lord Janardhan shone like the rising sun. By means of his deluding potency, Maya, Lord Vishnu took Kalanemi away from the battlefield and placed his dead body, which was like a log of wood, upon the ground in the lower regions of the universe. Being delighted, the demigods instantly regained their composure and enthusiasm. Lord Shiva embraced Lord Vishnu and congratulated him with such feeling. Lord Shiva said, "You have done what no one else could do." Later, in the form of Kamsa, this demon will again be killed by you when you regain your original form as Sri Krishna. This is such a tale of cooperation between all the celestials. I was remarking to someone today that it's amazing how all of the celestial gods cooperate. They all engage with one another. They all encourage one another. They wind up serving one another. And then they glorify one another. It is only us who see the differences. It is only us who employ these differences, thinking that somehow one is to be honored and another is to be rejected. Thinking somehow that these paths lead to different places other than devotion. All of these paths lead to devotion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should see that all of the celestial beings are working in cooperation with one another, working in tandem. They have no quarrel. It is only us who has the quarrels, who sees the differences by somehow identifying again with these designations. Thereafter, as the army of demons was being routed by the demigods, Tarka ordered his charioteer to enter the battlefield. Lord Vishnu pointed him out to Skanda, saying, "This is Tarka who terrorized the demigods for so long. Do not disregard him. This is your 7th day, and it is already noon. You must kill him before sunset, otherwise he will not be killed." Lord Vishnu then ordered Indra, "Make the king of the Daityas exhausted so that he can easily be slain." See the cooperation, everyone working together. Thereafter, when the demigods surrounded Tarka, showering their weapons upon him, he easily routed them, like a sinful atheist who drives away the instructions of Shastra. Skanda then proceeded toward Tarka with Lord Shiva guarding his left side and Lord Vishnu protecting his right side. This is the greatness of Lord Kartikeya. Lord Shiva protecting his left side, Lord Vishnu protecting his right side. As we pray, we can think of this glorious image in our minds. Oh Lord, please protect me. Bless me with courage on the path of devotion. Bless me that all of my skills, all of whatever success and opulence I get in this life can be used in your divine service. That is the use of real success. That is the purport of any real success that I might have in my life, that it all be used in your service, and therefore protect my left and right sides with your unlimited potency. This is cooperation. This is what the spiritual abode is, a realm of cooperation. Billions of soldiers protected Lord Kartikeya from the rear. As the two clashed, like Dharma and Adharma, struggling for supremacy, Tarka said to Kartikeya, "Why do you, a mere boy, at the urging of the demigods, come to fight with me like a moth falling into a flame? I now release you, so that you can play and go drink your mother's milk. Here, take this ball and play with it." Skanda laughed and replied, "Do not disregard the state of being an infant. Even an infant snake can cause distress. Even the rising sun is difficult to look upon. Even a small fire burns when touched, and even a mantra consisting of just a few letters can be very effective." After saying this, Skanda caught the ball that was thrown by Tarka, charged it with the Shakti weapon, and threw it back. The ball reduced Tarka's chariot to a pile of ashes. That chariot was 4 yojanas long, and when it was smashed, the sons of Garuda that had been pulling it were freed and flew away. As the fighting continued, Tarka began to consider the 6-faced Lord to be invincible. He also remembered once again the words of Brahma. Then as Skanda proceeded to slaughter the Daityas in great number, Tarka picked up his effulgent iron club that was decorated with 100,000 bells. With it, he came and struck Skanda's peacock, making him turn his face. Upon seeing this, Lord Vasudeva urged Skanda, "Discharge your Shakti weapon against this great Asura and thus keep your promise. Look, the sun is about to set." Skanda replied, "It was you, O Lord, who told me once that Tarka is a devotee of my father, Lord Shiva. I cannot employ my Shakti weapon to kill a devotee of Lord Shiva. If he were to kill me in battle, I would not mind, but I am not willing to slay a devotee of Rudra." Sri Bhagavan, Lord Vishnu, said, "O Skanda, this is not befitting of you. Listen as I describe to you a genuine devotee of Lord Shiva. One who harasses others is not a real devotee of Mahadev. A bona fide devotee of Rudra must exhibit kindness toward all living beings." These are the words of Lord Vasudeva himself, Lord Vishnu Sri Hari, describing who is a real devotee of Lord Mahadev. Listen well. O Skanda, one who harasses others is not a real devotee of Mahadev. A bona fide devotee of Rudra must exhibit kindness to others, toward all living beings. Therefore, you should slay this impostor devotee who is envious of others. Therefore, we can look within our hearts and find those problematic qualities, the enviousness, those qualities that make us somehow harass others, become envious of others, make us like imposter devotees, and we can root them out of our heart. We can pray to Lord Hari. We can pray to even Lord Kartikeya to root those unwanted, dirty living, those dirty anarthas, those dirty things within our heart out, so that then we can become true devotees. Even after hearing this, however, Skanda was not inclined to kill Tarka. Tarka then rushed at Lord Vishnu, saying, "Just see my prowess. I shall destroy the root of the Devas, piety and intelligence. After killing you, Vishnu, I will easily destroy the demigods." Lord Vishnu responded, "Why should we fight? Here is Lord Shiva. If he were to be killed, then everything would be accomplished by you." So now he is trying another tactic to get this demon killed. After hearing this, the infuriated Tarka rushed toward Rudra, who was seated upon his chariot. Coming close, Tarka grabbed the chariot's flagpole. Understanding the mind of his adversary, Lord Shiva, along with Parvati, left the chariot and mounted upon his bull. Lord Brahma, the driver, chanted Om and ascended into the sky. Tarka lifted up the chariot that had been constructed by Rudra, and which was drawn by 100 lions, and dashed it upon the ground, reducing it to a pile of rubble. Lord Shiva's trident and Pashupat weapon approached their master for service. So they have embodied forms. They approached him, but he told them, "I can handle this demon." Tarka rushed at Mahadev as he was riding upon his bull. Seeing this, Lord Vishnu, Indra, and others came to the forefront to confront the Daitya. Upon seeing this assault, Tarka turned to face the demigods. With a blow from his fist, he made Indra fall to the ground. He grabbed Yama's staff and hit him over the head with it, making him also fall down. He took Varuna's noose, tied him up, and then toppled him. After performing similar feats again and again, thus rendering the army of the demigods almost unconscious, Tarka again rushed at the disc-wielding Lord Vishnu. The Lord simply laughed and then made himself invisible. Being unable to see Lord Vishnu, Tarka rushed again at Lord Shiva, his fist clenched in anger. Lord Vishnu, becoming sometimes visible and sometimes not, like the lightning in the sky, said, "O Devas, run away fast if you are able. All of us who have come here for the sake of a mere infant have been deluded. It is stated, whatever is given for safekeeping into the hands of an infant is no better than lost." The truth of this statement has been verified by our direct experience. If we had known that Skanda is unwilling to kill a devotee of Lord Shiva, we never would have engaged in this horrible war. Anyway, if Kartikeya does not kill Tarka, rest assured that I will. Witness now the prowess of my arms. With a single blow I shall destroy all of these evil-minded demons. My right arm is eternally offered to you for your protection. I shall keep my promise by killing all of your enemies." After saying this, Lord Vishnu raised his own clenched fist and without any other weapon jumped down from the back of Garuda and rushed at Tarka. As the Lord of the universe ran, the entire world seemed to be losing consciousness. As he ran, flames came up out of his mouth. Millions of demons were killed simply because they were in his way. This is our heroic, terrific Lord Vishnu, who is burning from every side. From the sky, the Siddhas implored, "O Vasudev, please calm your anger. If you remain furious, what will happen to the cosmic manifestation?" Without paying heed to this, the Lord challenged Tarka, saying, "Let me acquire the merit given to those who protect good men. Let me now acquire the merit given to those who kill vicious beings." At this time, Skanda could see Tarka rushing toward Rudra with Lord Vishnu in pursuit. He saw how the universe had been thrown into confusion, and he remembered his own promise to the demigods. While gazing at the setting sun, Skanda heard a voice in the sky declare, "O Kartikeya, why are you dispirited? If after even killing a Brahmin one repents and installs a Shivalinga, the rectification of this sin can be deleted. The reaction for this sin can be deleted." After hearing this, Skanda assumed a very fearful form. Getting down from his peacock, he went and laughingly embraced Lord Keshava, holding on to him, saying, "I now realize your supreme position. You alone are the slayer of the demons and the protector of the demigods. It is you alone who establishes dharma within this world. I offer my obeisances unto you. Within a moment, you can witness my prowess." So now we remember how the Lord was even embraced by Arjuna on the great battlefield as he was rushing, saying, "I will kill all of these Kurus immediately." In his great anger, Arjuna ran to him and said, "My Lord, please wait. Calm your anger. If you remain angry, what will happen to the rest of the universe? You are the supreme personality of Godhead." Here, Skanda himself says these same words while embracing, clutching at Lord Keshava, saying, "Wait, just calm your anger. Now I will fight. I promise." The Lord was very pleased to see Skanda in this mood. Being freed from his anger, Lord Vishnu embraced the youth and said, "Now Dharma has acquired a real patron in you. Remember the purpose for which you were born as the son of Lord Maheshwar. The birth and entire life of a noble person is dedicated to protecting religious principles and the people who uphold them, the Brahmanas. You were born as the combined splendor of Lord Shiva, Parvati, Agni, Swaha, Ganga, and the Kritikas, the 6 wives of the rishis. Make this glory fruitful. When one's wealth, energy, and intelligence are used for the benefit of the good, the benefit of the Supreme Lord, these things are actually fruitful and not otherwise. Today, exhibit your prowess for the pleasure of the demigods, sages, and cows. Now we see the real purpose of our wealth, the real purpose of our success, the real constitutional position of anything that we have, our glory, our being, the real purpose of our very lives is to be used in the service of the Supreme Lord, just as Kartikeya was able to establish his eternal glory by killing this demon and performing service to the Supreme Lord. All glories to Lord Kartikeya. All glories to his service. All glories to his success and his prowess. All glories to his strength, which is forever used in the divine service of Lord Vasudeva himself. He is all worthy of worship and all worthy of praise. In reply, Skanda assured Lord Vishnu that he would kill Tarka without delay. When they heard this, the demigods praised Kartikeya highly. Thereafter, Lord Vishnu on Garuda and Skanda on his peacock rushed at Tarkasura. Kartikeya was dressed in red garments, and his ornaments were also red. His eyes were red with anger, and he was clad in golden armor. This is a wonderful image that we can meditate on of Lord Kartikeya, golden hued and dressed in red, with his red ornaments, his eyes tinged with red, and his golden shining armor, looking like a rising sun. When Skanda challenged Tarka, a woman came out of the demon's head. Skanda replied, "Who are you?" And the woman answered, "I am Shakti. I reside within Brahmanas who study the Shastra, as well as within chaste women. But I never reside with those who are devoid of good qualities. O Guha, mysterious one." As we remember, the sage Vishwamitra gave him this name at the beginning of his life. O Guha, Tarka's pious credit has now become exhausted, and so I, Shakti, am forsaking him. Kill him now for the welfare of the entire universe. With the departure of Shakti Devi, Tarka's entire body trembled. Within a moment, it lost all of its incredible prowess. Skanda released his Shakti weapon while imploring, "If Dharma is actually victorious in this world, let this demon be destroyed by virtue of this truth." The Shakti weapon pierced Tarka's heart, entered the earth, and then returned to the hand of Skanda. With Tarkasur now dead, all pious entities within the universe became delighted, exclaiming, "Well done! Well done!" All of the demigods, headed by Lord Vishnu, blessed Kartikeya, and they embraced him and praised him as forever the commander-in-chief of the great army of the celestial gods. This is Skanda. His mother is none other than this divine Devi, who was there as a witness to all of his heroic deeds, killing this great demon at only 7 days old. Who other than the son of Mahadev and Mahadevi could perform such a valiant deed, empowered, sheltered, and protected by Lord Vishnu himself, forever given the encouragement and forever under the instruction of Lord Vishnu. He has been able to utilize his life in the service of the Supreme Lord, in the service of the highest Supreme Person, in the service of the greatest good and those who serve the greatest good. And therefore his life has gained meaning, purpose, and is worthy of all worship. This is the teaching of Lord Vishnu himself, through the life and through the wonderful activities of Lord Kartikeya. We pray to SkandaMata Devi to protect us, to guide us on this path of devotion, to bless us with success, to bless us that all of our austerities of living in separation from our Lord, all of our austerities of identifying with this body and all of its miseries and calamities will bear fruit in our devotion, to bless us with the success that we can become true at heart that we can become really self-realized, and that we can express our true selves as servants of our divine supreme personality. I pray that she blesses us all on our journey. O Divine Mother, you are the source of all compassion. Your love and care bestows countless blessings on all those whom you care for. Who can calculate the good fortune of those who are blessed to call you Mother? O Ma, your lap is the source of all comfort, success, and opulence, and you make this journey of devotion soft with your love-filled glance. O Ma, please bless my path as I try to draw myself closer to remembering who I really am and what my purpose really is. Bless my creativity. Bless my expression. Bless my purpose in this life. And bless me with your radiant love as I try to revive my identity and reestablish my relationship as a loving servant of Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev. SkandaMata Devi ki jai. Kartikeya ki jai. Senapati of the gods ki jai. He is heralded with so many names and so many beautiful titles. We can pray for success on the path of devotion, and we should pray for success on this path. We should pray to be of service, for that is the real purpose of our souls. To be of service to our Supreme Lord and to others who have love in their hearts for our Supreme Personality. We can pray to our Divine Mother that she makes our path soft, that she clears out those obstacles like a mother, forever wanting to protect her children. Let us revel in these prayers. Let us revel in this worship. And tomorrow, we will see about the goddess and the worship of the goddess Katyayani, whose color is yellow. We'll see what happens. We'll also talk a little bit about how the gopis also worship her. Tomorrow is going to be filled with excitement, filled with joy, filled with amazing heroic deeds, filled with the praises of the goddess and all those who glorify her, including her own brother. Until then, I wish you all a beautiful Navaratri. We'll be joining together in these final days as this festival begins to wind down. But we will amp up the sweetness with every day that comes. Thank you for giving me life. Thank you for being here and tuning in to these sessions. Thank you for looking at these pastimes with fresh eyes with me and a fresh heart, ready to receive the blessings of this divine goddess in all her beautiful forms. Until next time, Ambe Mata ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Devi ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. See you soon. Hare Krishna.